Donald Trump is at it again with his endless crusade against wind energy, specifically wind turbines. Here's what he had to say.
We're not going to be energy independent in 2 months from now. They're making windmills all over the place to ruin our land and kill our birds, to kill everything. And we're not going to be, and they're very intermittent, as you learned from watching over the last 4 months. It's intermittent energy. It's not good. It's not going to power our great factories.
Now, it's important, incredibly important, to fact check what he said there, because he keeps repeating the same lies over and over again. And while it's fun to make fun of how unintelligent he might sound, it's also important to get the right information out there. So it's time for the debunker.
You didn't see Republicans, when we had control of the Senate, try to rig the game.
Shows how the Green New Deal would be a deadly deal for the United States of America.
Our systems are not racist.
Cenk is impatient, so I now go to him.
Okay, I know Anna's gonna give you more facts, but I just wanna give you the first one. Windmills do not kill everything. All right, back to you, Anna.
Yeah, that was the first fact check. That was the first debunk of this segment. Now, I think it's also important to acknowledge why he tends to have a beef with wind energy specifically, right? He never really talks about solar power. Wind energy keeps coming up over and over again, and there's a very specific personal reason for that. So he was upset when there was an approved proposal to build wind turbines right off the coast of his golf resort in Scotland, okay? So let me give you the details. Trump was furious when the Scottish government approved plans for the renewable energy development within sight of his multi-million-pound golf development. He said the turbines would spoil the view. So he's very worried about the view, everyone. Who cares about climate change? It's gonna ruin the view. We do have a photo of it, by the way, and I would argue that even though I'm not a huge fan of how wind turbines look, and yes, people got upset at me for saying that before, I think that looks totally fine. It's still a beautiful view. So they constructed 11 wind turbines. He engaged in this like insane court battle against it and luckily lost. Trump made a series of legal challenges in the Scottish courts and then took the fight to the UK Supreme Court in London. He argued that planning consent for the wind farm was so imprecise as to make it legally invalid. And so luckily the Supreme Court was like, no, step aside. And they decided to approve the project, luckily.
And they even made him pay for the legal costs for Scotland. So what's amazing to me is that the Republican Party now has their policies centered around what is going to make Donald Trump more money. He's obsessed with windmills because of that one golf course. It's like, it's gonna kill the view. It's gonna kill everything, the birds, I'm worried about the birds. It's gonna kill my profits in Scotland, I don't like it. I mean the birds, and plus, of course, cancer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so ridiculous. Now, as Cenk had mentioned, the turbines do not kill everything, but Trump does tend to also bring up the fact that it kills birds, as if Trump actually cares about birds. We've seen how he's handled the American bald eagle. He has a little bit of difficulty with it. So he doesn't seem to be an admirer of birds. But with that said, it is important to see whether or not that statement is true. So BBC News did fact check this. Research from the London School of Economics estimated in 2014 that by 2020, there could be anywhere between 9,600 and 106,000 bird deaths a year from wind energy in the UK. In other words, we're not sure. It compared this with the estimated 55 million birds killed by domestic cats in the UK each year.
Oh my God.
But it's the circle of life. Studies looking at the US have put the figure at anywhere from fewer than 10,000 to more than 500,000. And let me also just note, what's also really terrible for birds? Climate change, wildfires that destroy their habitat. I mean, maybe we should think about that if he's genuinely worried about birds, but I would suspect that he actually doesn't care at all.
Yeah, so that's an interesting give or take on climate change versus the windmills on what's more bird friendly or not. But with the 55 million bird massacre of the cats in just the UK alone, it does seem like a tiny number. But I know that Donald Trump, that's gonna be his next rant. The cats, we gotta get rid of the cats, they're killing all the birds. Okay, right wingers and fake left wingers, you really think that Donald Trump is concerned about the birds?
No, and then finally, one other thing that I want to bring up, it's very clear that he's learned a new word, intermittent, and he repeated it several times in that clip. And so this is also a talking point that you hear from anti-renewable energy people. But remember, renewable energy isn't just reliant on wind turbines. There's also solar power. There are ways to reserve the energy, right? So this isn't like something that they hadn't thought through. Now, obviously, there are still developments to be made in regard to renewable energy. That's why it's so important to invest in renewable energy. But don't make the mistake of thinking that he's trying to cite legitimate concerns in regard to wind turbines or renewable energy. He just doesn't like the way they look. And to be quite honest with you, I kind of get it because I don't like the way they look, but it doesn't matter, okay? I think being able to survive on this planet is far more important than the aesthetic appeal of wind turbines.
Yeah, who cares how they look?
Yeah.
So lastly, of course, you guys remember Donald Trump said that the windmills cause cancer because the noise of wind causes cancer. So now the official Republican Party platform is wind causes cancer. It's causing cancer to Donald Trump's profits in Scotland. We're against it. Okay, so go ahead, formulate all your policy around this obvious con man. Have at it, Huss. By the way, just in case you're among the gullible, wind does not in fact cause cancer. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.